Hope everyone can able to see my screen and my audio is also very clear to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Balaji. Okay, what is the topic today we are going to see? Today we are going to cover two different topics and it is two different verticals even. If you are moving into an IT sector, core IT or ITES, RPA will be a different sector and blockchain will be a different sector. And for RPA, it is a no-code platform where we won't focus on programming languages, but we used to focus only on the logical part. Logical thinking, analytical skill is what is more expected in RPA. Whereas in blockchain, we used to expect a complete programming knowledge and we used to have an in-depth logical understanding how the blockchain works. So this is the two different verticals today we will be covering. And RPA, I started my journey as an RPA developer, and right now I am as an RPA specialist, as well as I am leading my team member. I'm one of the team leader along with my peers. Blockchain, whereas we are entering into a blockchain technology along with the RPA, we are performing a POC on the blockchain part. So I will be giving you the in-depth understanding of an RPA, and I will be providing you the POC part, which I have done within my organization for the blockchain part. So without any delay, we will be proceeding further with RPA. Okay, what is the takeaway we'll be performing today? The takeaway is nothing but re-engineering or continuous improvement or continuous learning. This is the key terminology which we need to take every day, and we used to think on learning, keep on learning until you stop learning. Make sure you have to learn everything and you have to implement all the stuffs what you have learned, so that the stuffs what you learned will be helpful. Not even today, it will be helpful in some days, or it may be useful throughout your life. So that keep learning. Do love what you are doing right now. That's the keynotes which I need to provide. Then the stuffs with respect to the agenda. Agenda, as I mentioned earlier, we used to focus on two technologies, which is robotic process automation and the blockchain. I'll be giving an in-depth understanding how the robotic process automation works, and I'll be showing an examples also, and I'll be giving you some hands-on of how robotic process automation works with the live environment. Okay, what is robotic process automation or what is RPA? And you have came across these terminologies only in ITES sector. It is not an core IT, it is an IT enabled sector. It comes under BPS, which is business process services. Sometimes they used to call us BPO, business process outsourcing, where we used to implement this technology in order to eliminate the workforce. What is eliminating workforce? Eliminating workforce is nothing but there is a 10 employee who logs in every day and they used to perform 10 different set of activities. It is a predefined set of activities and they used to log out from the working session. They used to keep on performing the repeated operation day by day. Uh, Towards the timeline, the workforce remains the same and the activity what they perform remains the same. But due to the depreciation within their country, their salary need to be keep on increased. In order to bear the load by the organization, which was spent for the repetitive task done by each employee, there comes a new technology called robotic process automation. This technology was designed in late 20s uh, during the growth of Java platforms where Java applications were launched and multiple Java related products were launched. And during the initial phase of Microsoft XP, the Windows XP was launched. This technology was kickstarted uh, towards the 10 year or 15 years down the timeline. It got multiple improvements across the tools and across the vendors. So then it came into a shape at 2015 onwards, and it started to pick up at 2016, 17, and 18. Now we are in larger phase where RPA is known to every company and every even small projects which we used to do towards the end of the third year, and there is multiple final year projects has been done using RPA technology. RPA technology is nothing but, as I mentioned earlier, it is a low code platform where we won't uh, build multiple logics, multiple complex logics here. We used to give an very ease of understanding code. Ease of understanding code, I can give an best example. It is something related to SQL, where uh, we use a simple English language to build our SQL queries. Say, for example, like select statement, or even with the update statement, or with the truncate statement. Those statements are very easy of understanding, and we used to perform multiple data retrieval and data updation with the with respect to database. Whereas with RPA, we won't performing multiple if logic, multiple loops, multiple while condition. We won't go with constructor encapsulation or any other stuffs, function overloading, function overriding, or operator overloading, overriding. Those kind of concepts we used to eliminate completely here. Here we used to focus only on low code platform. We used to just drag and drop few functionality. We used to understand what is our requirement, and we used to build out a logic on the same part. Here, what they mentioned, why they have coined it as a robotic process automation. Uh, the process is nothing but the day-to-day activity which we used to do. Say for example, pre-COVID, we used to get up early and we used to check into our college bus, and once reaching the college we used to take our food, then we used to enter into our classroom, we used to sit nicely, enjoy every day, and we used to log out of our college. Post COVID, we used to get up, we used to log into our mobile phone, and we used to have our session. Whereas the same kind of stuffs which was done by every bankers, every accountants, every IT employees, or every service vendors to their customers. Say for example, I am a customer of one of our reputed bank, whereas I was regularly checking my bank statement. In order to perform the bank statement validation, I need to call my banker and I need to request for bank statement. You used to download all those details from the bank database and used to send over email or any other medium. This was done before 10 years or 8 years. After internet expansion, we used to get one mobile banking or internet banking, so that we can download all the reports in single go. Towards last 3 4 years, we used to get a chatbot in every banking website, or in every platform wherever we used to go for asking for assistant. We used to get a chatbot towards the corner, left side corner or right side corner. We used to click and we used to type what are the keywords we used to perform, so that we can able to download all the details from the chatbot itself, rather than calling the banker or rather than waiting for the email to receive. So all those data transaction has been limited, and we have been in a sophisticated place where we can extract necessary information within a short span of time. So we are running in a competitive world. We need to eliminate the errors and we need to get accurate result, which is 100% accurate result. The same thing was expected in customer standpoint. As the same example with respect to the banking, I'm making a transaction of 1 crore to other country. For making a transaction from India to US or India to UK, I need to bypass multiple approvals within the bank team. Initial bank will validate whether this guy is allowed to transact this much limit, because we are transacting other countries. We are not making a transaction within the country. We are making a transaction across regions or across globe. So we need to get necessary approvals, necessary validation has been done. For bypassing all this validation, there comes a bot. This bot takes in an input and validate all the prerequisite information from the user and perform all the validation check. If there is any approval needed, the bot used to send out a necessary email to the business team directly and asking for approval. If once necessary approval is received to the bot will pick up the next request and it will process further, and it will make the transaction ease. so that we won't be waiting for multiple days. If I initiate a transaction of 1 lakh today to my child or my grandparents who is sitting in UK or US, it may take around 2 to 3 days in in 2007 or 2008. But now it was done in a fraction of second. All the fraction of second operation has been done in the back end, where we after implementing robotic process automation. This part of automation has been done for all the process and which was done at SAP. SAP is the main tool we are focusing, and ERP. Most of the ERP systems we have been focusing on. Most of the banking application we are focusing on, like loan processing, loan details, and accumulating loan details across bank, and getting to know how the customer behaves in other banks, and what is his credit details, what it is debit details. All those details we can collate, and we can come to a consolidate report, and those report can be helpful for the bankers or the IT peoples or the income tax auditors. Those kind of sectors can be used. Same robotic process automation can be implemented in the colleges also, where we can pull out necessary information from the predefined database in a weekly manner or an monthly manner for each students, so that we can able to understand or visualize the graphical performance or the student performance across years. Or if we have any web-based login, so that we can understand the student has logged in for so much hour on this day, and same login session was dropped on next day. Those kind of login details can be pulled from a predefined data source, so that this bot will run effectively at the backend, and it will provide you the necessary output. This is how the robotic process automation kickstarted, and now we are moved into an higher stage from the base level. The base level, we used to start a process A, and we used to do to process B, then we will go to process C, then we'll go to process D. It is a straight through process, uh, like we used to wash our hand before we are going to take our breakfast or lunch. It is a straight through process. Whereas right now we are in the next stage, where it used to extract multiple data from a PDF file, or it used to validate the approval email, and it used to read all the information from even from the images also. Say for example, if I have a receipt or a invoice document which I received from any of the famous jewelries like GRT or other jewelries which is resident in Chennai, I bought a jewel, and I need to perform a tax filing on the same. For performing the tax file, if I want to scan the receipt which is provided by the jewelry, I can scan the report. For extracting the details, I need to copy, or I need to manually enter all the details like the invoice number, receipt number, the total amount, all those stuffs. While implementing robotic process automation, it can extract the necessary information in the PDF file automatically. It used to recognize all the data from the backend. Once all the data has been recognized, it can able to fill necessary values from the necessary fields. In the income tax folder, it can able to fill the total amount and the tax you paid by the user, and the receipt number in the respective field. This is how we are in the right now stage. What is the future of robotic process automation? The future of robotic process automation is nothing but we will be seeing a cognitive bot. Cognitive bot will sit in everyone's Android mobile, or it will be an act as an assistant to every user. Wherever you may be in civil sector, or you may be in mechanical sector, or you may be in IT sector. Even in IT sector, if you want some operation need to be done, which is from a PDF file, or which is from a website, robotic process automation can able to extract all those information, and give you a detailed report in a regular basis. Say for example, it can run on hourly basis, it can run even for a minute, it can recurrently run even for a minute, it can run on a monthly basis, it can even run on yearly basis. This is how the RPA has been emerging, and it will be a trend-setting technology for next 7 to 8 years. After which the RPA will be moved to artificial intelligence and IQ bot. We'll be getting an intelligent bot, and we'll be going to cognitive automation. This is the phase of RPA from the lower stages to the higher stages. Okay, with respect to the technology, what they mean is an synonym of artificial intelligence application of technology allowing employees in a company to configure computer software or a robot to reason, collect and extract knowledge, recognize pattern, learn and adapt to the new situation or the environment. Uh, reason to reason is nothing but to classify the document, to understand what kind of document it is, and to collect. To collect is nothing but to store multiple informations from various sources. And exact knowledge. Exact knowledge is nothing but understanding how the RPA is emerging and how the bot has to be designed and how it has to be catered toward multiple requirement. Recognize patterns. Pattern is nothing but if we came across similar pattern across a website, that same kind of pattern will be recognized across multiple pages. Bot will extract all the details and it will move towards next step. Learn and adapt to new situation. This robotic process automation can learn by itself. It is similar to machine learning. It is in the initial phase. Machine learning can learn by itself. We used to create a predefined algorithm so that it can learn and adapt by itself. Same way, RPA can learn by itself based on the error occurred, based on the training we have provided to the technology, and it can adapt to the solution, and it can adapt to the changes which is made in the application end. This is how RPA has been moving from initial stage from A to Z, from process A to process Z, and it has been moving to document understanding, intelligent document understanding. Then it has been moving to machine learning concepts. So RPA can be integrated with cognitive bot as well as to machine learning algorithms. With respect to the transformation of automation cycle, how it has been transformed and how it has been moved from the past years and what is the expected year in the future. Initially, we have been using Visual Basic Automation. Visual Basic Automation is nothing but a predefined tool which was provided by Microsoft. It was catered along with Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, sorry, Microsoft PowerPoint. And the same has been used in Microsoft Access also. Visual Basic Automation is nothing but simply a drag and drop tool where it can able to record the action which was performed in the Excel or in the Word. If I am selecting a range of A1 to AZ, Visual Basic Automation can able.
That also
Hello, Balaji, Satish, you can able to hear me, right?
yes, yeah, it's audible.
Okay. What is the last point I was stating? Could you remember?
No, the transformation you were saying about the transformation.
Okay, transformation. Okay, I will proceed from here once again. Transformation of automation cycle, which was started from the Visual Basic Automation, then it has moved to macro-enabled office products, then it had moved to screen scraping, then we have been in drag and drop automation. The future will be a cognitive automation with ML. Okay, what is Visual Basic Automation? And I will go with an example directly. I'll be explaining you the macro enabled products also. Say for example, this is my Excel. I have a, I have a data of, okay. I want to create a macro based on this. What is the option here? Right now, we don't have any developer option enabled here. I can able to enable the developer option directly. Okay, we have the developer option. Here comes the Visual Basic and the macro. Say for example, I want to copy the selected cell and I need to paste it in J9. I want to perform this as a repeated step so that I'm performing a record macro. This is my macro name, just for reference. I'm selecting the respective cell. I'm clicking on copy and I'm clicking here and performing a paste. And this is the stop recording. Once I have done, macros, this is the macro which is created here. If I click on delete, edit, I can able to see a set of code which was generated by the Microsoft Office products itself. This is called macro enabled MS Office products. This is how the automation journey has started. Because most of the operation what the IT employees do relies on Excel, because Excel is a vast tool. It has tons of features. The features of Excel has been exactly replicated to an SQL server. In SQL Server, we can able to perform visualization and data scraping and data mining. All those details can be done in SQL Server. The same kind of stuff can be done to an Excel. Only limitation with respect to the data. Whereas Excel can hold only a certain data with respect to lakhs. Whereas with respect to SQL Server, we can able to hold data to with respect to terabytes of data. So in order to perform the data load and the data operation, we Microsoft has incorporated the Visual Basic solution along with the tool itself. Say for example, I have created this macro. I am removing this part, this set of data. I am making a changes in the macro. It is copying from A1 to C2, and it is pasting in J10. Rather than in J10, mark it is in J9. Otherwise, we can make it as A9. I'm copying from A1 to C2. I'm making it as C5. This is the changes I have done. C5. Just updating similar values. Okay, this is the value which is there. I want to run the macro again. So I'm just running the macro. You can see that there is no value in A9. This is the cell A9, A9. There is no value here. I'm just running this macro. Run. You can able to see this line of code get copied from here and it was pasted here. This was the initial automation scope of RPA. This is how the RPA journey has started. This is what we have seen as a Visual Basic automation and macro enabled office products. This is part called the macro. With respect to macro, we can able to done lot of stuffs. Yeah, these are the predefined functions and objects which is created by the Microsoft Office itself, where we can able to create a workbook, create multiple sheets, and we can rename the sheet, and we can refresh the pivot, we can create a chart, and we can refresh the chart, and the stuffs related to the data mining, those kind of stuffs can be done within the macro itself. This macro gives you a feasibility to create a interactive user interface also. Those kind of application also it can be done. I'll be show you a glimpse of the application which was created within our organization using macro itself. This is the base of automation, how from which the automation has started. The next part comes as the screen scraping. Screen scraping is nothing but, say for example, okay, this is my web application. I need to perform a login to this my web application. I need to fill username and password and I need to click on sign in. To perform this kind of activity, we we can able to do it manually or we can able to save the password and we can click sign in. But using automation tool can recognize the field which is located in any location of this web page, and it can able to enter the username, it can able to enter the password, and it can able to click the sign in. Once the sign in is done, it will move to the next screen. Mhm. Okay. Actually, this user account was disabled as of now. It will move to the next screen so that we can able to perform next set of action. This is what the screen scraping. Screen scraping is nothing but control I. Okay. Automation tool like the RPA tool, which is available in the market, will identify this element and it will store all this information, like what is the ID of this field and what type of field it is, whether the auto capitalize is on or off, and to which form it is related to, and what is the name of this field. All this information will be stored while screen scraping. If I'm performing the same step for password, here we can able to see it is of an class and the name is password and the ID is password. We don't have other information related to it. For submit button, what is the key related to it? Here we can able to see the type is submit and the class is button.jupyter and ID is login underscore submit. So all this information will be stored within our automation project itself, so that bot can able to perform necessary data entry and click necessary operation. This is what we are calling it as screen scraping. And this is the second stage of RPA, where RPA has emerged and it was started growing in all the sectors related to finance. It was mainly grown in the finance sector like banking, where in banking we have deployed around 360 plus bots, which which act as a replica nearly of 30,000 employees. It acts as a bot and it is to perform all the operation which the employee has done. This is the third stage of automation. Then drag and drop automation. Drag and drop automation is nothing but, here we need to perform inspect element and we need to find the element ID. Then we used to fill necessary value. Then comes the drag and drop automation, where we can able to spy necessary element both from the Office product as well as the web application, and we can able to perform necessary operation related to it. Then comes the cognitive automation. Cognitive automation is nothing but the understanding of the PDF document, intelligent analysis, and the bot which used to learn by itself. I will be showing you a demo of all these three part, where we have incorporated macro enabled Office products, and we have performed the screen scraping also, where we have performed a drag and drop automation, and where we have used cognitive automation, that we have incorporated ML operation within our project for effective use of RPA. The initial stage is RPA 1.0, which is Visual Basic Automation, which is an assisted RPA. It works within your machine so that you can able to perform only one activity at a time if your RPA is running. Then comes to the macro enabled products along with the screen scrapping, where we came to an unassisted RPA. Unassisted RPA is nothing but where we used to have a centralized server. Centralized server used to hold all the information related to the bot, and it can able to perform the task scheduling, and it can trigger a request based on certain changes in the file or the folder, or based on an email arrives in a respective mailbox folder. So this is an unassisted RPA where we used to have a separate environment for development, and we used to have a separate environment for robot to get executed. Then comes an autonomous RPA where it is completely of a cloud-based solution. All the bots will be deployed in the cloud directly, so that based on the request, based on the schedule, the cloud server will deploy its service into the respective machine, and it can execute on its own, so that it will be act as a supportive to a colleague or an employee who works in an office. Then comes an cognitive RPA. The cognitive RPA where we used to incorporate artificial intelligence, machine learning, NLP, and scikit-learn, all the technologies related to uh, the data extraction and the data mining, where we used to perform screen scraping as well as computer vision. Computer vision is one of the terminology which was grooming now, and it is related to the cognitive platform, and it is completely based on ML algorithms. And the same technology we are incorporating along with the RPA, so that we can make the bot more effective and more affordable to all the end users. Okay. Till now, with respect to RPA, you have any doubts, so that I can go through on a demo part, and I will show you an real-time example how the drag and drop functionalities works, because I have covered the macro enabled office products. I'll show you the screen scrapping and drag and drop automation also. If you have any questions, you can raise. Okay, fine. I think so. Everyone understood the concept. Okay, fine. I will go with the demo. Then I will go through the code how the automation has been done here. This is a solution which was designed for a painter, so that painter, and we have been using painters for banners. In banners, we used to paint multiple pictures and multiple logos. In order to perform all those stuffs, and in order to make the coding more effective, we have built out a bar, so that it will take an image and it will paint a picture for you in the MS Paint. We can use the same kind of tool in other Adobe Photoshop tools and other Photoshop related tools, where we can implement this bot to make our banner or posters more effective. I will just running you this bot. This bot, the input of this bot is a Steve Jobs, and it takes the picture, and it understood what is the picture, and it understood the pixel density, and it paints the same information uh, as a solution in the MS Paint. Okay. Yeah, this is the image of Steve Jobs where he launches an iPhone. The same image was painted exactly as the image which we used to see in multiple Google search. Same was painted in MS Paint. This is one of the use cases which was done for a painter for his banner related operation. And I will proceed you some hands-on with respect to the RPA directly so that you can understand how the drag and drop functionality works and how the cognitive bot has been integrated. And I will show you one piece of demo which where we have incorporated macro and a form in a macro, then a cognitive bot has been incorporated. This is one of the bot which was recorded already. Input file was placed here. The bot started to pick the request and it performs necessary application health checks and it logged into the application directly. All the stuff was done by the bot. You can able to see the bot execution towards the right side bottom corner of the screen. It pre-checks necessary application and necessary shared drive access and all the stuffs were available or not. Then comes here, this is the macro part which we have been using. The same macro part has been used here. This is the initial stage of RPA where we have incorporated stage 1 along with the stage 2. Stage 2 is the nothing but the screen scraping where we have done the screen scraping on the SAP application. And we have prepared an ML input file. Here we have incorporated our cognitive bot, which is machine learning. Um, hello. Yeah. Here we are performing a document understanding based on the details which we have received from the business team. And here we are performing necessary operation with respect to SAP based on the data entry with respect to the application. Here we are filling few values and we are proceeding further. In same way, we have incorporated the macro application once again to ensure all the data validation with respect to Excel are handled within the macro itself. Uh, you can see multiple message boxes popped up here and there. All the message boxes and all the data entries has been done by the bot. This is the difference between a human working in an application as well as a bot working in the application. You can see the differences in the timestamp. They used to perform all the operation within fraction of seconds and it can able to proceed to next step if necessary data and the necessary access has been enabled. Yeah, here we have incorporated machine learning as well as visual basic automation in order to bind the data which is generated from the machine learning as well as the data which we have downloaded from the SAP application. So we are binding all those data and we are running a macro on the data record of 1000 plus. Right now, in this scenario, we have 2400 records to process. Once the necessary validation has been done, we are performing necessary format so that we are changing the look and feel of the final output, which will be shared to the business team. And finally, we are sending out necessary information to the business team, and the same details has been captured and it has been shared to the business team along with the output. This was the one of the real-time use cases which was done in our organization, and it uses all kind of technologies with respect to the automation itself. We have been using screen scraping, we have been using Visual Basic, and we have been using cognitive ability within this mode. And how the drag and drop functionality works. With respect to drag and drop functionality, okay. This is one of the web application which we are using for data extraction from SAP. Once again, here we need to perform few operation. Right now, this project is in POC stage. I will be showing you how the data scraping works. I have scrapped a few values. I'll be just running you this kind of codes, and I'll be showing you what kind of data has been stored in the screen scraping. Just running this module. It is just a 4-step action. It is to click on my activities, and that's it. It has done 6 activities in a consecutive fashion without any delay and without any errors. Okay, with respect to the first stuff, I'm clicking on my activities. Under image, you can able to see under what button or what field we are clicking on. Under objects, we can able to see what are the objects it has identified. This functionality is completely a screen scraping functionality. All the data on the fields has been scrapped by the bot automatically. It has scrapped response, it has scrapped the domox path. Domox path is nothing but a document object model path. It is related to every application, whether it is a web application or desktop based application. Every application has a domox path, and this is the HTML ID. They have not provided any HTML name and the HTML alternate tag, and they have provided that tag. They provide the class name, they have provided the inner text, and the HTML reference they have provided as JavaScript. So this application has a JavaScript in the backend. So all the clicks and the event has been done in the backend using JavaScript. So this is our position related to the field. And in the second part, I am clicking on NIS country submission. This is the field I am clicking on. So just I am providing the path and the domox path, the HTML tag. These are the fields which has been extracted by the tool itself. This is one of the tool which is available under RPA, and there are multiple other tools. I will be providing you the list of tools which is available under RPA during Q&A sessions. This is how the screen scraping get works. Then comes the visualization form using macro DMC. Okay, this is completely a macro enabled Excel file. Within this Excel file, we have created a dynamic form. This form is completely a replica of a web application form, where we can able to select multiple values from the field, from the drop down. Here we can create a multiple drop downs. And so for example, if I'm selecting August 2021 company selecting one of the modules, I'm clicking generate. So here you can see this are all drop downs. This is a date field. This is similar to the web application. This was a technology which was the initial for RPA. So here we can able to pick a date from the date picker. This is the text area where we can able to select. This is how the web application has begun from the base of VBA. So this is how the VBA has paved way for RPA to emerge and bloom, and it has been the future for next 5 to 7 years. Okay. Okay, we are moving to the next technology. It is completely a different vertical with respect to RPA. It is completely a new technology and it is an evergreen technology. And this technology is changing the cryptocurrency world completely. You have any doubts with respect to RPA till now? Anybody? Uh, okay, yeah, fine. Okay, what is blockchain then? Okay, anyone came across this terminology, blockchain, cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum? Anyone have came across this kind of terminologies in the last few years? Okay, fine. With respect to blockchain as a high level, once your data is tampered, the entire block is tampered forever. Tampered is nothing but altering or making any changes, or we are bringing some issues to it, or we are making some illegal transaction or illegal violation with respect to the data. This is how the blockchain has started. With respect to the history of blockchain, it came in early 90s. This was started by two different people. They need to create a receipt which should not be changed forever. So they have created a seal with the timestamp. So they used to provide the seal for every document they used to share across different vendors and different customers, so that only with respect to seal and the date, they used to cross verify all these goods has been sold or has been transferred across peoples. With the same approach, we have created a technology called blockchain. After 1998 or 1999, there was not much research going on blockchain. During 2010, Bitcoin came and it had consumed the blockchain technology, and it started selling its cryptocurrency in leased cards. The initial price of the Bitcoin is 10 rupees in Indian price. It is just 10 rupees at the initial stage. After 10 years down the timeline, from 2010 to 2020 or 2019, before COVID, it was grown up to 30 lakhs hard. It has grown in a rapid speed, and it had reached a market no one has expected. It is completely because of the blockchain technology, and the blockchain technology has disruptive to the complete IT market. Okay, with respect to blockchain, what it is, why it should be named as a blockchain, what is the key takeaway from the blockchain? Blockchain is nothing but a information which was stored in a secure block or a secure wallet. Otherwise, we can able, if we are going for a gold secure in our bank, they used to show us the locker and the facilities what they have in the banking sector, so that we used to see the locker structure and what kind of protection they have to the locker, so that if we are placing our gold or our diamond or our precious metals in the bank, it will be safe forever, so that at the end we can take away the gold from the bank if it is needed. Same way, if any information which is which need to be protected and which should not be read by anyone and which should not be tampered by anyone, or which should not be illegally accessed by anyone, all those information has been collated and it has been moved into blockchain. Blockchain has two different words, which is block and which is chain. Block, a block holds certain information, and all the information is packed in a packet, or it has been stored in a block. If multiple blocks are linked to each other with the previous block information, then it forms a blockchain. If the chain is keep on growing, then the strength of the blockchain grows drastically. If the chain is not growing, then the strength of the blockchain is weakening day by day. This is the same principle which was followed in the Bitcoin even. Bitcoin, they have started with low rate, and it was very new to all the people, and no one has known that the Bitcoin will grow towards the height which no one has expected. Nowadays, all the companies are accepting the currencies in form of cryptocurrencies, because right now we are using fiat currency in the form of paper, but going forward we will be using a currency which is in the form of digital, so that we are moving to a digital era where we will be having only our card. We will be looking for internet all the places, so that we are moving to a Tesla project, right, where all the companies are taking the digital as a main core, and they are working on the models, so that we used to withstand the market, and we need to understand how the data is to be stored and how the privacy of the data has been maintained. Okay, with respect to the block, a block is a collection of data and information which contains, okay, it is a collection of multiple datas, or it is a collection of information. Along with the information or data, we used to get a hash. Hash is nothing but a private key and a public key combination, which is encrypted in 256-bit or 126-bit, or it is even encrypted in higher fashion. Even our WhatsApp conversation is encrypted strongly. We have an end-to-end encryption where all our data are stored within our mobile devices. Same way, here also we used to have a hash key or a fingerprint for each of the block, and the hash of the previous block. What is the hash of the previous block? Say for example, a blockchain has block 1, block 2, block 3. If I want to add a block 4, I need to know what is the hash value of block 3. If the hash value of the block 3 get matched with the hash value of block 4, then only I can able to join my new block into the link. So the link grows from 3 to 4. This is how the blockchain has emerged. Okay, then we have a additional technology or additional changeover with respect to the database, which we used to learn every day in our organization, or which you used to learn in your college days. What is database? Database is nothing but we have a centralized server which used to store data in flat format. Flat format is nothing but a binary format. So all the information will be stored in a centralized server. From the server, we can able to fetch the data to the machine, or the machine which is connected to it. If the server get crashed, or if the server is down, we can't able to retrieve the data. Like the result which we used to get from anonymity. If the centralized server has some issue, we can't able to load our result from our mobile application or from the desktop application or from the web application. Same way, here comes the next technology, which is called distributed ledger system. Distributed ledger system is nothing but distributed database server across all the nodes of the internet. Say for example, if I'm entering into a blockchain component, or if I'm entering into a blockchain medium, I need to install some application in my device. If you are familiar about Picoin or Timeit coin or Ethereum coin, you need to install some application within your device. Your device should be capable of running the application. Say for example, if I want to run a Bitcoin application, I need to have a supercomputer, and it should be powered 24 by 7, and it should consume lot of electricity. Whereas if I want to run a Pi network based application, Pi is also a cryptocurrency which is emerging in recent days. If I want to run a Pi based application, I can use my Android device, which should have 6 GB of RAM. This is one of the prerequisite what they are expecting. Same way, the distributed ledger system for application which is installed on their respective devices, they hold a respective database within the application. So the data which was stored as which was stored in the centralized server is now scattered to be stored across all the servers in the systems, so that we can able to see the data in system A, system B, system C, and system Z. All the data will be same. Say for example, if a intruder or a virus is injected into one system and it is trying to tamper a value from 10 to 20 in system X or system Y, and the next person who enters into the system, say for example, after Z, we can start with AA. AA enters into the system and he is validating from A to Z, and he came to know that the value in system Y is incorrect. So that the system AA can raise a issue stating that the value in Y is incorrect, kindly remove the system. If the value was tampered in one system, the entire application will be removed from the system, and the system has to be start from its initial stage. This is how the distributed ledger is working, so that we won't have any centralized database, we won't have any centralized auditor or centralized maintenance to validate all the data. All the data validation has been done across all the machine. If I want to make a changes in my data, say for example, I have an amount of 10 rupees, I want an add an amount of another 10 rupees, and my amount 10 is a valid one, I will send out a request to all the users in the node or in the blockchain. If 58% of the user in the node accept it is a valid request, then I can able to add a new block into my system. Say that after AA, I can able to add AB into my block, stating that I have added amount of 10 into my block. This is how the data validation is done. In centralized database, no one has validated the data. only the program which we have built it, or the user who is entering the information has to validate it. Whereas in the blockchain based technology, the data validation has to be taken care by his peer network or the node based computer or the user who is using the same technology across globe. This is how the distributed ledger technology has been working. The same technology will be used across all industries in near future. This is nothing but we used to disrupt the entire database technology. We won't be using any SQL server. We won't be using any Oracle server. We will be directly already we are moving from SQL to NoSQL. Going forward, we will be moving to a distributed ledger system where the information will be stored in a ledger format or in token format in multiple nodes of the system, so that all the nodes has to validate it and it can proceed further. Okay, what are the types of blockchain? We have 4 different types of blockchain, which is public, private, hybrid, and consortium. Public is nothing but our Bitcoin or our cryptocurrencies, which is in the market. There are tons of cryptocurrencies available in the market. With respect to public, it is a permissionless. Only we need to install necessary application to access it. With respect to private, it can be accessed only within the organization or within the group of people or within respective podium or within respective user groups. The next part is the hybrid part. Hybrid part consumes both public and private, where um, the private users create a blockchain and it was exposed to public so that the public users can use it effectively, whereas the private users maintain the blockchain. So that we used to have a centralized user, they used to maintain it and they used to scale it up, whereas the public user can use the extensive feature of it, which comes in the hybrid part. Whereas the consortium is nothing but if I have created a public or private based sector with respect to consortium, I can create multiple structure within my blockchain. I can have my public blockchain, I can have my private blockchain, and I can have my hybrid. If I'm combining all these 3 kind of stuffs into one of the module, I can make it a consortium so that there won't be any centralized owner, but everyone can able to access it and everyone can able to effectively use it. This is how the best example or the best use cases for the public is cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. And with respect to private, it can be used in supply chain management and asset ownership. Supply chain management is nothing but the goods movement from one area to the other. And with respect to the hybrid model, the best example is our Aadhaar card. If the Aadhaar card has been moved into a blockchain technology, we can able to access all our medical related information, all our banking related information, all our swiping card related information, and all our insurance related information, all our loan related information within our PAN card and Aadhaar card related information once it has been moved into a blockchain technology. With respect to consortium is mostly used in banking technology and in research oriented technology. In research is nothing but we can able to research on multiple stuffs so that all those information has to be scattered across multiple people so that they have to validate it, they can intake, and even some private organization they can able to access the information, then they can work on.
Sir,
Hello.
sir, voice is very low, sir.
Okay, it's better now. It's better, Lokesh.
Ah, yes, sir. Now, okay, sir.
Okay, fine. What is the last point? You are audible. Okay, fine. Yeah. The next point with respect to the components of blockchain, we have 4 different major components of blockchain. which is node-based application, distributed ledger, consensus algorithm, and virtual machine. Distributed ledger is the system which I've explained you previously in the previous slides. I have explained you. I will be explaining you what is node-based application and what is consensus algorithm and what the use of consensus algorithm and why we need to go for virtual machine. Okay, what is node-based algorithm? Node-based application or node-based algorithm, it is the terminology. If I want to enter into a blockchain, I need to install a application in my system. If I want to install an application in my system, I need to make my hardware more efficient to adapt to the system. Here we came to a cloud-based technology which is called Service Overlay Network (SON). Uh, we used to have service as a platform, product as a platform, product as a service. All, all the cloud related infrastructure has been overlaid here, and we are using service overlay network. Here all the computer will act as a node, and all the computer has to be connected to a internet, so that the information which was made a change in the network can be overwritten in all the nodes of the system. So that a node is application is a specific application where each internet connected computer needs to download and install if they wish to participate in the blockchain ecosystem. This is the important part. If you want to enter into a blockchain concept, we need to enter necessary application here. On the right side, I have given you a few examples of the wallets which is available for Bitcoin, which is Aramri and Bitcoin Core. With respect to control, validation, transparency, environment, privacy, and fees, they was the best across many with respect to the Bitcoin. Then comes to consensus algorithm. Consensus algorithm is nothing but this algorithm was designed to validate the data across machines or across blockchain. They used to validate the information and they used to make sure that the block added into the system was correct. There are three types of consensus algorithm we have used, which is proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of burn. Proof of work is nothing but mining. Many used to hear we need to go as a miner into a blockchain. Miner is nothing but we need to have a higher hardware configuration and we need to solve multiple cryptographic puzzles. If we are solving multiple cryptographic puzzles, then we will be the miner and we will be mining day by day. Once a certain hash is reached, then we can able to append new block into an existing blockchain. Whereas proof of stake is nothing but a validator. If a miner is keep on mining, there should be some validator who has to validate the information which was already there in the blockchain, and if there is any information newly created in the blockchain. If there is any information newly appended in the blockchain, then the validator will validate the information and he will give permission to get it linked to the existing blockchain. So those kind of activity is called proof of stake. Proof of burn. Burn is nothing but I have a bit of coin. Say for example, I have 10 bitcoins and I am sending one bitcoin to an unauthorized user or to an unknown user in the block. If I am making a new transaction to an unknown user, I am creating a new block to the user and I'm ensuring the block is scalable to a certain point, so that the block will be keep on scaling up, so that I will be mining work will be going on by the proof of work, and proof of burn ensures the scalability of the blockchain. This is the consensus algorithm which was used within the blockchain technology in order to ensure the data privacy has been maintained. Then what does block contains? I have been stating that each block has certain data. Block contains two sectors of data, which is block header and block body. Block header contains the version of the software they have used and the hash of the previous block and the hash of the current block, the time at which the block has been created in the system, and the goal of the current difficulties. Goal of current difficulty is nothing but for creating a hash, there are multiple technologies used in order to make the system more strong and more encrypted. So the goal of current difficulty will be always higher. If the goal of current difficulty is 2, we can find a hash in 3 seconds. If the goal of current difficulty is 5, then we can find the hash in 2 minutes. If the goal of difficulty is 50, we need to wait for 300 days to find one hash key. This is how the difficulty has been defined, and it takes more resource and more supercomputers to be introduced. And the nuances is nothing but the loop or the iteration which goes from the base block or the genesis block or the zeroth block to the end block of the blockchain. And the block body, what contains the block body? Block body contains the information which need to be stored. Say for example, if I want to store a invoice which should not be tampered by anyone, then I can store the invoice there. But for each block, we used to have all these details. Okay. You have any questions till now related to blockchain? We are now at the end of the session.
Students, you can ask your queries if you have. Bhaskar,
Yes, Satish.
Bhaskar, can you please brief something about some job opportunities related to blockchain and RPA?
Yeah, sure, Satish.
Students, and also please tell them whether they are supposed to do any course regarding that.
Okay. With respect to job opportunities and the demands of IT, uh, if you are very familiar with the programming languages like Python, Node.js, or AngularJS, then there are tons of jobs available right now. And once you are leaving the college, there are tons of opportunities available. Make sure you should be very familiar with Python, or you should be very familiar with JavaScript. Even Java.NET can help you better. More than Java and .NET, you should be familiar with Python, because the technology which we have been using in Python is vast. Python can be used in all the sectors, from RPA, blockchain, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Even in medical sector, they have been using machine learning, and the same machine learning has been used to create multiple chatbots, because we can able to see multiple chatbots popping up here and there. Even a chatbot has been prepared by our government in order to validate the vaccination report for the COVID, so that we can able to make sure all those information has been available. With respect to the job opportunity, we need to make sure we have been well versed in any one programming languages with the best of it. And with respect to RPA, you should be make sure you have been more conscious about your logical skills and mathematical skills. If you have been very good in your logical skills, then you can able to enter into an RPA platform. And Make sure you have in-depth knowledge on database always, because the database is the core part in all the organization. Without database, we can't able to survey, because here and there we are enforced to use a database. So make sure you have to use database. With respect to future, what are the jobs will be more demanded? Like business analyst, there will be more demand. Data analyst, there will be more demand. Artificial intelligence developer, there will be more demand. Machine learning developer, there will be more demand. Computer vision developer, there will be more demand. And for web related development, if you want to you want to go toward web related application, make sure you should know about chatbot, and how you have to integrate chatbot within your web application, and how your web application senses the human action. So all those stuffs you need to take care of it, so that you can understand the future job opportunities. And with respect to job sector for IT, it is safe as of now. We are not in crisis. And due to COVID or post-COVID, we won't be in any crisis, because India is performing far better with respect to IT sector. Uh, with respect to the students who are studying in CSE, IT department and ECE department, they have bright scope in IT sector. Whereas with respect to scope for civil mechanical into IT is bit hard, because the programming knowledge is must, and they are expecting more programmers need to be enrolled to accommodate the projects, because already we are eliminating the students who are coming from BCA background or MCA background in IT sector by incorporating multiple robots or multiple automation within the projects itself. So one who are studious in programming languages, they can able to survive in the IT market. And ones who are having logical skill, they can able to enter into an ITES based sector very easily.
Thank you, Bhaskar. One more question I have.
Yes.
As a fresher, what a company expect from a student as a fresher? Whether they have to be focused on any one language, or they have to be a full stack developer. What do you suggest?
Uh, okay. I'm not go with full stack developer, because everyone won't have in-depth knowledge on every technologies which we use. Any one programming language is must. In addition to that, they should have a basic understanding of database, like how the database has to be designed and what is the basic functionality of the database. If they want to go with Java, well and good. Make sure they should understand the Java knowledge, and they should have in-depth knowledge on the Java. They should have some understanding on the database. I won't expect a fresher should have a good knowledge in HTML, good knowledge in CSS, and good knowledge in Bootstrap, and they should have a good knowledge in Selenium and all those stuffs. And they can take up one language, and they can learn in depth, and they can have some glimpse on the database.
Okay. And another question is, if a student wants to learn a technology, right? Any technology, considering the current situation, they cannot approach any training centers and then take up the training. So whether is it advisable to take the training in online platform like Udemy and then Coursera? What's your view on that?
Yeah, actually, I have been learning multiple courses. I have been delivering reading courses in Udemy for the past 8 months, and even my company has enforced it as an habit for every employees to learn it month on month. It is must for everyone. And with respect to taking courses in Udemy or Coursera, rather than paying and taking the courses, there are tons of open platforms available. There are tons of utilities available, which are almost free. Even we can't we should not spend a lot of things on taking stuff in online. We need to spend it effectively. If I want to take a course in Udemy, it costs around 500 rupees. The same course is available in the YouTube already. Whether we need to spend our time effectively, and we need to take it to our heart.
Okay. Final question from my side. How
Yes, sir.
communication skill will have an impact on IT sector?
With respect to communication skill, they have been expecting a intermediate in English. They are not expecting an expert to be enrolled into an IT-based sector. They are expecting an intermediate who can communicate well with the client, who can communicate well with the internal team, and who can communicate well with the other stakeholders who is working across regions. Say, for example, my stakeholders used to work in Dubai, who can able to speak well-versed English. Same stakeholders will be available in Zimbabwe and Hong Kong. They are very lack in English knowledge. So it used to be very tough to understand what they used to communicate. So it is a time-consuming process. If we have been an intermediate stage, then we can able to cope up with the stakeholders in US, UK, or Britain, or even in Dubai-based countries. If we are in basic stage, we can't able to meet towards the expectation in the countries which are already democratic. That is my view, Satish.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Students, if you have any queries, please ask them. Students, please. Any questions?
I think so. Everyone is clear.
Yes. Okay, Bhaskar. Thank you for spending your time and then giving us this much knowledge for our students. Thank you on
Thank you,
behalf of
Satish.
Panimal Engineering College management principal and then Computer Science Engineering Department and students of Computer Science Department. I thank you once again for this valuable session on blockchain and RPA. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Satish.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Thank you, Balaji.
Thank you. Will be circulated to a group